So today's video, I'm going to talk about something that's been at the forefront of my mind, the forefront of my heart, something I've been thinking a lot about. It just kind of, I have to talk about it. Again, I'm having these moments with you guys, but I'm talking about this because I want to encourage you and to help you understand that if you are in a similar situation like this, you're not alone. You're not alone. So let's just talk about it. So as many of you guys know, most of you probably know, I have a daughter with Down syndrome. And to be honest, she is not an easy person. She's not easy. She's very strong-willed. She's very headstrong. And as a parent, I need to really have my guard up and be watching. So I had a friend come over today, and typical situation, and this is pretty typical. Friend comes over, we start the conversation, 2 words in, I have to run and take care of something with Naomi. Come back to the situation, she starts up a story, and then I'm, wait, hold on, I gotta do this. Help her in the bathroom, help her with her food. It's difficult because I can't have a conversation with an adult sometimes. To be honest, it's really embarrassing, and sometimes it's just easier to lock yourself away in your house and not have to deal with it because you don't want to burden people. But I had her come over anyway. The plan was that we were going to go to the pool. She has 2 boys that are exactly the same age as my 2 older boys, and we were just going to just play and spend time talking and chatting because that's what I need as an adult. I need time talking to other adults. So we did that, and Naomi didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to get in the car. She didn't want to put her bathing suit on. She didn't want to, and I'm going to tell you what, with her, lately, I've noticed I have to make things really, really exciting for her in every aspect. I mean, it's like, we're gonna go to the pool and slide down the slide, you know, all the faces, the joy faces to finally get her to get out of that. I don't wanna do it to, okay, yeah, I wanna do it. I gotta find ways to get her to do it. Motivate her with gummies, motivate her with doing things like pushing the button to get inside the building. And do you know it's really tiring to be happy all the time? And especially when there's someone around, you don't want to burden them with having to have them lag behind. It takes a lot of patience. So we made it. We made it out the door, went down to the pool. Of course, my friend didn't even faze her a bit at all. I know that homeschool parents feel the same way. You know, you guys wake up, you do your coffee in the morning, you get the routine going, and all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock and you guys are still in your PJs and you haven't spoken to an adult. Yeah, there's isolation as a homeschool parent, 100%, especially if you're not involved with co-ops. Your spouse may be at work, or they're not home, or they're not even available emotionally, physically, you know, there's all of that. And that is very isolating and depressing and hard. And I am speaking to you guys as well. But with a child that has special needs, it's different, I would say. It's different because there is that sense of embarrassment and feeling like you yourself is a burden. I have a friend that can't even leave her altitude because she's in a higher altitude. She can't leave that altitude because she's afraid that her daughter may have a seizure. Another situation I know of, a mom, she had 10 kids. The youngest one had Down syndrome, and she made a comment to me saying, well, nobody invites us to their weddings or any fun stuff because we've got 10 kids, and of course we've got the one with Down syndrome. Situations like that, we feel it. I've been thinking about it a lot. As human beings, we are created for community, but not just community, but deep, deep community. Community that holds each other accountable, that bears one another's burdens, iron sharpens iron, that shows affection, brotherly love, loves so incredibly deeply that when one person hurts, everybody else comes alongside to lift up that person. Children are raised together. There's no, I mean, of course, there's always things that happen that are not comfortable and sin and all those things. But if somebody stumbles, you lift them up and people work together. We don't have that anymore. Well, we do. You can find it in rare occasions. But if you look at society as a whole, I mean, we as a culture are so busy trying to find the perfect this, trying to find the perfect curriculum, trying to find the perfect home, location, perfect co-op, perfect church, like all those things. It's like we all have this perfectionist complex. And at the same time, when we're in a situation out in public, we think we have to be perfect. And when our child's not perfect, we're embarrassed and ashamed. And so as a result, we may isolate ourselves. Also as a result, we may avoid those deep, deep, deep relationships that are so important for building the body of Messiah. Social media is huge. The idea of you can get what you want whenever you want it, order it on Amazon.com and you can get it by the end of the night and you don't even have to leave your house. You can watch videos and threads and just do quick little comments here and there and never establish that deep, deep relationship with those people. But then on the other hand, look at us. You know, how many women get fixated on people and YouTubers, and we want to watch their lives because we are desiring that deep friendship with that person, but we're afraid for people to see us as who we are. I watched Jessica with Fields Full House. That's one of the YouTubers. I know her personally too, so I don't know if it's a good example, but I watch it. I watch her life. I know her children's names. I know the situations that they are going through. I pray for them, yet I'm afraid for her to see me sometimes as who I am. There's this element of shame. There's this element of I'm not perfect. My family's not perfect. My kids aren't perfect. So I put up a barrier and I prevent that from happening as well. I think a lot of us do that as well, especially when we have kiddos with disabilities and special needs. We're so busy out there trying to be advocates for our kids and, that. The other thing that I've noticed too, maybe we don't respond in isolation, but we respond in anger, right? If somebody doesn't quite understand our perspective, instead of showing them how we do things or showing them the difficulties and the struggles and how they can properly respond to our family and our kids, we get angry and we just block it out and close the door, and that actually is isolating too. There's so much. It's such a deep, deep topic, but I think what it really comes down to is that we are built for community. We're designed for community. So if you look at scripture, right, you look at all the commandments, you can't really fulfill those commandments without community. You can try, but I mean, how, for example, and long-term community too, right? Long-term community, not just, you get to know someone really, really deep, and the second they reject you or the second they say something critical towards you, you grab your bags and you take off to the next co-op or congregation. Not that kind. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about deep. You stick around. You deal with those people that don't like you, and you work on yourself to make yourself better. Or the people that don't like you, you pray. And you understand them and love on them and pray for them. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. How can you honor your mother and father? I mean, seriously, how many of us went through a phase where we did not like our parents, but we still have to honor them? That's long-term, deep relationships. Marriage. Look at our society now. People, divorce is huge, right? Marriage is supposed to be long-term. When there's mistakes and flaws and problems, we're supposed to turn to the Lord and have Him fix them and work through us. And when we have a child that has a disability, we're supposed to love them, care for them, all those things. And, we shouldn't be ashamed of that. Another thing that I hear quite often is blaming it on our personality when it comes to building those strong relationships and deep relationships. I mean, some people say, well, I'm just an introvert. I totally get going to your closet or house or room at the end of the day and reading a good book or getting behind social media and all those things. I totally get that. But if you use being an introvert as an excuse for not going out there and developing strong, deep relationships with other people, it's an excuse. That's it. It's a crutch, right? Same thing for the extrovert. Extroverts sometimes will bounce around from person to person and like to draw all the attention on them and be the life of the party, so to speak. Well, it's the same thing is true. They may have a difficult time finding those deep relationships because they have so many people around them and they're too busy trying to get their eyes focused on them that they're not getting to know the other people in a deep way. That's a crutch as well. By the way, all those personality tests, we just throw them out the window. My kids, we don't even say the word introvert, extrovert, quite frankly, because that does not define who we are. I am not a fan of labels. I know that does sound kind of odd coming from me, especially since I do like to talk about special needs, and I am going to make a video later on talking about labels. And introvert, extrovert, that's not who they are. That's not where their identity is. And by the way, if they say those words in my household, we feed them a Brussels sprout. That's like soap in the mouth kind of thing back in the 80s. Do you guys remember when our parents used to make us eat soap? Or 90s, depending upon when you were born. I just dated myself. But you get it. Like, Brussels sprouts can be gross for people, especially when they're raw. So that's the punishment. My kids are never going to like Brussels sprouts. But all kidding aside, personality tests will not define who you are, and it's not a crutch. So how do we get out of this isolation craziness that we feel sometimes? Relying on God and praying, but forcing yourself to get out and to build deeper relationships. I remember I had a friend during the whole pandemic, because that just killed everything, right? Well, I remember I felt during that time that it was time for me to really just slow down and get to know people at a deeper, intimate. I know, it's hard to say that when you're not out of the house during a pandemic, but I found out that there's this thing called Zoom, which I think all of us found that out at that time. But I was able to meet with some girls, and I remember thinking to myself, and actually I think I said this out loud, that I wanted to get to know them at a deeper level. I wanted to see their flaws and love them for who they are and have them love me. See, I have a problem more, not with other people, but more with people to getting to know me and liking me for who I am. You would think it's the opposite because I have a YouTube channel, but that's the case. But anyway, I told her this, and from that day forward, she really challenged me and pushed me. Like, she was the one knocking on my door, ready to just pop on over. Who does that anymore? This was after the pandemic, but seriously, who knocks anymore on doors unless you're trying to sell me solar panels? But she did that, and it was actually really nice. That's how it used to be. I mean, now we just have social media and we just bug each other with, like, text messages. There's always a way to make that more intimate and building friendships. And that's commitment. Commitment to one group. Now, I'll be honest, I am a commitment person. I'm the type of person that when I commit to something that I love, I'm not going anywhere, right? I lived in Florida my entire life. I have a congregation that I belong to for double-digit years. It's when you make those long-term commitments and are okay with the fact that you're not perfect, and other people see that you're not perfect, and they lean in and love on you and accept the fact that, yeah, your kid does have a disability, but we love them for who they are because they can see through. They get to know them. They can see through the disability because they will. That's what happens when you commit. Of course, there are exceptions to the rules. There's always exceptions to the rules, and that's where wisdom comes in, and you have to be careful and all of those type of things. But commitment's a good thing. Now, going back to the story with my friend, it was such a wonderful time. She was patient. For those of you that know people that have kids with disabilities, I think having patience with the person is huge. And with the kid, expect to walk into that situation where you're going to have to wait around for the kid to do what they need to do, what the parent needs to do, what they need to do, and show them love. Everybody needs to know that they are loved. We're all human. We're all sinful. We all have issues. We all have problems. But there is a deep, deep desire within us to love each other, to care for each other, and to build that community. Galatians 6 says, bear one another's burdens so you can fulfill the law of Messiah. Because you can't do that if you're not bearing each other's burdens. Now, on a more personal note for you too, with this YouTube channel, I did say from day one it was a journey, but I've noticed more and more that I want this to be a community. I want this to be a community where it's safe, where you feel safe, where you can express how you feel, where we can build relationships and friendships. To be honest, so many of you guys that have commented down below, I've met you at conferences. No, I don't forget you. I remember your faces and I pray for you. I see you in evaluations. You've shared things with me through Instagram, private messaging, emails that just touch my heart. And I feel connected. And I think this, even social media, even when we feel like it's fast-paced, microwave society, all those things, I think that it is a blessing. It's a gift to us, a way to reach out to people that we would normally never get the opportunity to meet. People that have things in common with us, people that we can mentor each other and pray for one another and bear each other's burdens and all those things. I want this to be a safe place for that. And each and every one of you that you've commented, it's huge. I don't think you even know the impact that you make on me and other people. And even the fact that some of you reach out to me to do evaluations and I get to meet you on Zoom, it's so much fun because it becomes so much more personal. And I love it. I know I'm gonna do some Q&As just to kind of get things out there because, I mean, if there's anything that I can share with you guys or encourage you guys with, I want to be an instrument for the Lord to do that for you guys. So with that being said, feel free to leave comments. But I hope this was encouraging. We are all in the same boat. Sometimes it can be really difficult at times, but know that you're not alone, that it's okay to want to build a community and to have friends and to have people around you. It's okay, but don't hold back. And I want to encourage you that way. So hopefully this was encouraging. And until then, I'm going to leave some videos from my face. Let me know if you like these kind of videos and I'll keep sharing my heart with you guys. So take care. Have a wonderful day and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.